So let's just start by kind of covering a little bit of our agenda of what we're going to talk about today. So we've got everything from control systems to content management systems to Stream Deck integration, you name it. So
maybe you can flip to the desk so you can show everyone we got.
Yeah, I'll just show, like, we've got a whole bunch of stuff showed up. We're going to do a lot of show and tell.
Yep.
This is kind of like a sandbox for all kinds of different tools and integrations, depending on what applications you're using.
For sure.
We've got a whole bunch of toys to show you. But just to give a brief rundown of what we're going to cover here today, we're going to start out with a very short Perl primer. Some of you are going to be very familiar with Perl already, so we'll keep it short. Yep. But for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about the Perl devices that we have, we're going to cover those. And then we're going to get into talking about some of the control integrations. So Crestron, Extron, QSys. We have an Aurora panel here. We've got a Skarhoi, a Stream Deck. We're going to show you all that stuff. And then we're going to dip into talking about content management systems. So we've got things like Panopto, Kaltura, OpenCast.
I'll show you a little bit of Epiphan Edge, moving files there. We're going to get right into it. We'll show you how to configure it. We're going to show you what it could look like on a QSys panel, what it could look like on a custom designed Aurora panel over here, what it can look like a little bit on a Crestron, or it's going to look like on a Perl Mini and different CMS platforms. We're going to start events with buttons. We're going to do all kinds of stuff today.
We have a lot of ground to cover.
We have a lot of ground
to cover. We want to, if we start going too long on any one subject, please let us know in chat. Yep. But we are going to launch our first poll of the webinar, and this is going to help us to understand what you guys want to talk about. So if you look to the right of chat, you're going to see a polling icon. Click that, and you can let us know, what do you want us to spend the most time discussing today? Yeah. So that's going to help us kind of orient ourselves for the rest of the webinar.
For sure.
So where do we start here? Well, let's start with our, I'm going to switch to my slides here. Let's start by covering the Perl hardware a little bit.
For sure.
Okay, so what is Perl? Perl is all about high performance, reliable video capture, streaming, and recording. And we have a number of devices that scale from everything from 1 channel to 6 channels of encoding, and let's cover a little bit of that now. Let me just get to my slides here. There we go. So what is the Perl philosophy? It's all about versatility, reliability, and ease of use. Of course, these are professional quality devices, so extremely reliable and robust.
Yeah, all encased in metal. So they're meant to be, like, especially in Nexus. If you pick up one of those devices, it's a heavy device. It's meant to go in a rack. It's meant to sit there. It's meant to work. These are workhorse devices.
Yeah, and they're built to last too, right? Like a lot of our users are taking these on dozens or even hundreds of projects in a year. Maybe they're not permanently installed, but they're taking them on the road, traveling.
Yep.
They have to be built to withstand the rigors of all kinds of live events and things like that.
Absolutely.
And another thing here, we've got the open ecosystem. So, our philosophy is to play nice with everything, right? So whether you are using content management systems, control systems, video conferencing, we've got all the most modern streaming protocols and I/O integrations, things like NDI, SRT.
Yep.
There's so many ways that you can use these devices depending on what kind of workflow you want to build and what kind of application you're trying to streamline for video.
Yeah, and modules just make that easier to start up and go from and there. If you have a developer, you can expand upon those things, but like we try to have there's tools out there that gives you a nice jumping off point too.
Okay, so here's the sort of lineup of Perl production systems. Ryan, why don't you kind of give us the lowdown here?
Yeah, so when we look at Perl systems, we have a couple things we need to think about and know. Mainly, what is a channel and what is a layout? A channel is essentially an encoding instance. So if we look at the Nano is a single channel device. And a layout is kind of like slides in a slide deck, just like Dan's slideshow here. A Nano could just have one slide, one layout. You could record that and stream that at 4K, but it's just one. There's no switching. When you start moving up the line, go to Perl Mini, Perl Nexus, you're at a 3-channel device, multiple layers. You can do switching on it, things like that. We see Mini and Nexus used a lot in education, Mini in worship, Nexus in courtrooms, permanent installs, things like that. And then when you need more than 3 video sources, or you need many layouts, then you go up to a Perl 2, which you could have 6 channels on. So 6 isolated recordings, maybe 5 isolated recordings in a program channel where you're getting 5 ISOs, but also switching between all those cameras individually as well. And that's a 4K capable device too. Network inputs on every single one of them. NDI would be from Perl Mini up. full NDI Pearl too. So lots of flexibility here. Whole scale, you can scale up from 1 all the way up to 6. So yeah.
Okay, great. Let's get into a little bit more detail on a couple of these. So again, Pearl Nano, this is great for SRT contribution, for live events. You can stack them, you can rack them. You can add this on to another production system, just a really convenient and efficient streaming recording device. It even has H.265 encoding, so that can be super useful for those scenarios where maybe you don't have a lot of bandwidth, but you still want to get that really nice quality for your streams.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
And here's, a typical setup. You've got your inputs, SDI, HDMI, professional audio with XLR, and then you're streaming out to any CDN using all the protocols available.
Yep.
You can have a program monitor off of this. You can use it as a confidence monitor. Sometimes people want to do a multi-view of all their sources as well. So, and HDMI pass-through. So really good for those breakout rooms where maybe you have a projector and you want to just pass that HDMI signal for your presentation through the Pearl and then onto your display interface projector.
Yep.
And here's just an example of how we see a lot of our live event folks using these. They'll rack them up. How many sources do you need? How many channels do you need? And you just build out from there.
Yep, exactly.
Pearl Mini, this is where you get into things like switching, recording ISOs. We see these in podcast studios, live events, auditoriums, small presentation rooms.
Shared spaces, things where you need that big touchscreen. You're not going to have like a control system or anything here that you're integrating. Everything's done on one device. Typically, that's where you see Pearl Mini really thrive.
Yeah, you can set this up for a one-button experience as well if you have, users who are coming into a space and you want to just lock down that screen and give them one easy button to start and stop their recording or stream.
And you can indeed lock it to that screen. So you can make it so no user can go away from that screen as well.
So, we kind of covered this already, but some other scenarios we see these labs, simulation labs, medical simulations, anywhere where you want to give a little bit of user control right on the device. It's going to give you that confidence with that big screen. We'll just skip through this. Okay, Pearl Nexus. What can you tell me about Pearl Nexus, Ryan?
Well, Pearl Nexus is going to be for those permanent installs. When you want to have something that's automated from other systems you might already have or something you're building up, think of a QSys integration where you need a recorder and streamer that's integrated with a CMS platform like Panopto or Kaltura or OpenCast. You can get a Pearl Nexus, put it into there, automate all of its functions from your existing infrastructure or from other things like everything you see in this table, and then you just kind of set it and forget it. Yeah. So that's kind of the purpose of it. It's built to save you space, to save you time. Puts one U in a rack, and then you kind of just you go from there.
Yeah, we see a lot of university campuses using these.
Those of 200 at UNLV.
Dozens or hundreds of rooms where video needs to be captured, recorded, or streamed.
Yep.
And the idea is to just fully automate that experience so that the presenter doesn't have to be fumbling with the technology. They can just walk into a space. The recording and stream might be scheduled. Yep. Maybe it's paired with the institution's content management system, and it's just a fully automated video experience.
Yeah, it's meant to remove the complexity from the user. That's what you want there.
Again, very similar inputs and outputs to a Pearl Mini. Really, it's the same I/O as a Pearl Mini device. And then here we go. We've got Pearl 2. This is sort of the flagship, the big boy. What can you tell me about Pearl 2, Ryan?
Well, Pearl 2 is going to be where you need to capture, up to 6 sources. Those could be, 6 NDI-HX sources. Places where you need a device that can handle a whole bunch, do it all in one place in one box, and just reliable. Put it on the desk, or we even have a rack mount version of it too. And so we see that a lot at where you need to rack it in the server room or something like that, maybe multiple stacked atop each other, and just let them do their thing and work. So kind of like the Pearl Nexus, Pearl Mini, but just much bigger. 2-3 times. You can think of it like that.
Yeah, more inputs, more concurrent recordings, more channels. Just a great hub for all your video workflow to lean on. And
I would like to mention too, we're talking about all these devices, the API and everything we're going to talk about, it's all the same across the devices. Yeah. So there's no difference. It's the same REST API and everything for every one of them. So it can be integrated into a control system, and that if a Nexus can do it, a Pearl 2 can do it, a Pearl Mini can do it, a Pearl Nano can do it.
Yeah. So perfect. Okay, and then lastly, we want to touch on this Epiphan Edge. This is sort of the cloud infrastructure that backs up these devices. So it kind of becomes like your command center for everything Epiphan. You can run this right in your web browser. You can access it from anywhere in the world, tablet, mobile phone, laptop. You can access your entire network of Pearl devices, control them, monitor them, schedule them.
Absolutely.
You could even be doing switching on a production remotely.
Yeah.
What are some other things that people like to use Epiphan Edge for?
Real-time alerting as well, batch actions. So let's say you have 200 on campus and firmware update comes out. Well, instead of going room to room, you can just select all, Epiphan Edge, press firmware update, all of them will update. So it can save hundreds of hours potentially. We've heard that before from a couple different universities of labor and just time managing devices.
I think a lot of it is just the confidence too, to be able to access your device from anywhere, ensure that it's running properly with those alerts. You can get notified if an HDMI cable gets unplugged.
Absolutely.
Or if your network goes down, or maybe you have other issues, you can kind of get customized notifications for everything that is happening on your Epiphan device.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's our Pearl primer. If you have more questions, by the way, here's how you can contact us. info@epiphan.com. You can also reach out to sales@epiphan.com. And with that, I want to close our first poll. We had about 68 votes in the poll.
Amazing.
Let's close it and see.
Where are we at?
It's going to take a couple seconds to close the poll, and then let's see what you guys want to talk about the most today, and we'll kind of budget our time accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay, poll is closed. How do we see the result here? Okay,
There you go.
wow, it's pretty even spread here. We've got about 32% control systems, 20% CMS, 16 API.
So we're doing everything.
We're covering everything. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So I do have another poll that I'm going to launch now, but now that we've covered all the Pearl devices, checking your polling, just curious for you guys, what Pearl best suits your most common use case? Let us know in that poll, and we'll be curious to see what everyone has to say there.
Yeah, and when we're also when we're answering questions or things are coming to me or Dan, we have two people in the chat, two very technical people that will be able to answer these things as well. And so if there's something that I don't know or something that Dan doesn't know, you might hear me say, well, ask that in chat, or maybe someone in chat will answer that. So just so you know.
Let's try that right now. We do have a couple questions flying in already. I'm going to try to get to a couple of them here. Does Pearl Mini support H.265 encoding?
It does not. So Pearl Nano is the only one that does H.265 encoding. It was built purposefully to be optimized for that. We will not see H.265 on Pearl Mini, Pearl Nexus, or Pearl 2.
Very likely we'll see it on future Epiphan devices.
I would say for sure.
Is Epiphan Edge an additional feature, or does that come with the purchase of a Pearl? So I can take a crack at that one. So Epiphan Edge is free. But we do have a premium tier that unlocks some additional features. So if you want features like scheduling, remote administration, those would be premium features. Is there anything else that I'm not thinking of?
The way I think about it, if you need remote control, premium. If you just need to monitor and start and stop streams, or maybe add some RTMP streams, you can do that with the free side. But yeah, it's definitely, there is premium features to it. All those batch actions, scheduling, all things like that, that would be something you'd have to pay for.
Question here from Aubrey. Am I understanding you can daisy chain Pearl 2s together somehow to where you get 4 inputs instead of 2? So first of all, Pearl 2 has 6 inputs, right?
Yeah.
And that is comprised of 4 HDMI inputs and 2 SDI inputs. We can also do networked inputs, but the key is we support on Pearl 2 up to 6 inputs.
Up to 1080p inputs is what we suggest. You can't daisy chain them as if so you can kind of mix them together so you can stack them. Maybe there's something in the future that might be something like that, but right now that's not possible with our devices.
Yeah, you do have HDMI outputs, so if you did need to send a program feed or a source out of a Pearl into another Pearl, maybe there are applications where we have seen that. It is possible to do that. Vadim, will foam air filters be installed in Pearl 2 units in the future? I'm not sure if I understand the question.
I think we mean dust filters. Maybe.
Oh yeah, on the fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you can clarify that. I think that's what you mean, but I'm not too sure. I don't want to answer your question if I don't know what it means.
Yeah, thanks Vadim. That's you know, these devices they do have internal fans. The fan keeps air flowing, keep the devices cool. We do rigorously test them in our testing environment with some pretty extreme conditions. So, but yes, it's something that we'll think about. Foam air filters, not a bad idea. Constantinos, there is also a dual Pearl 2 rack mount, correct?
There was a dual 2 rack, right? But even that was 2 Pearl 2s side by side. They were not connected. So that would be, we saw that a lot back in the day of redundancy. We'd have one doing a primary, one doing a backup type stream, different networks, but that product has since been discontinued since 2022.
And a great question here from Stefan, and thanks for asking, Stefan. When will the new firmware update that you presented at ISE come out?
Very soon.
Very soon.
I think we're hoping for end of March. So yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So expect that it will be coming very soon. We'll let you know. We'll make sure that we get the word out when that firmware update's available. I know a lot of people are excited about.
And we're running that today as well.
Yeah, we'll be sharing a bit of that today. Okay, we've got all of our questions. Thanks everyone for asking some great questions there. Let's break into our next topic, which is control integrations. So, like I said here, we'll go back to our desk view. We've got all kinds of control systems here.
Yep.
And we're gonna start digging into each of them. So Ryan, why don't you just give me an overview of what's sitting here on the desk, and then maybe we can get into a bit more detail.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start left to right. Over here we have an Aurora panel. Maybe I could just zoom in on the Aurora there if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
So we have this Aurora panel. This is something that was custom created by one of our partners, and it's just using our API to look at things that are going on in this device. Now, this is our Pearl device that's running the webinar. But if we go back to admin, we can see a bunch of system settings, the firmware, you know, the fan speed, the temperatures, everything like that. And this is all custom created. Anyone can do this with our REST API. And in the upcoming firmware release, you're going to be able to see all these commands and be able to essentially copy and paste them into your control surfaces, so it takes a lot of guesswork out of it. And so this is a really good example of what a custom integration could look like. You know, it has that program which Dan showed. It also has events, so like if you have upcoming events, you can show that here too. These are all things that you'll be able to pull you into, you know, to push new events if you want to start ad hoc events, things like that. That's all going to be possible and is possible. So it's really going to open up a lot of opportunity for those developing these systems, and to make them feel as they want them to feel for their end users.
Yeah, so shout out to AP Tech in
Yeah.
Australia.
Yep.
Wayne was, you know, kind of dipping into the Epiphan API for the very first time, actually. And he created this entire control system using this Aurora panel. So just to give an example of like what's possible, even if we don't have a module or a native integration, you can still leverage Epiphan API to create something
Absolutely.
totally custom, like what Wayne has created here. So
Well, that's all the other devices here. They're using our REST API. So there's nothing special about it in that regard. They're using our API, and so anything you see on any one of these devices, you can do on any other device in theory.
okay, great. Where do you want to go next? Why don't we touch on the Crestron a little bit here?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
everybody's familiar with Crestron, right?
Yeah. So this is a Crestron module. You know, we can see we have we can get previews of our channel and things like that. We can look at what inputs are coming into here. And this is the base level module. I believe they call it a plugin. It's on the Crestron marketplace. And then you can bring this into your Crestron environment. You can load it up and then expand on it from there. I should probably get my hand out of the view.
Yeah.
And so you can see outputs. You can see channel. You want to start stop recording, things like that. For settings, previews again, like I showed, and also events. So if you have events running, you can see your events that are upcoming there as well, all with the base model, and then you can just move up from there.
Yeah, so really someone could take this plugin and then build on it. You know, obviously here, this hasn't been designed. This is just a bare bones template.
It is, yes.
But if you want to get in there and design it and customize it to your institution, or maybe to some other AV components that you have in your room, maybe you have lighting systems, projectors, you know, automatic screens on your blinds on your windows.
Yep.
You know, there's all kinds of ways that people are using Crestron, and the plugin really makes it easy to get going with Epiphan immediately and get your Pearl connected and take it from there.
That's right, and it's compatible with HTTP or HTTPS, so it can be over port 80 or 443. So if you need an encrypted connection between the two, it's not a problem at all.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so where do you want to go next, Ryan? Should we
Well, we're
take a look at QSYS?
Well, QSYS will leave for CMS a little bit more. Let's go to the Scarhoy really quick. 'cause
Okay, cool.
I think that's more of a
Yeah. So you guys might have noticed this really cool controller we have down here. This is a Scarhoy controller, and this is a Danish company that produces some really high-end control systems for, especially useful for production and live events, right? So we see a lot of live event folks who want to be able to do switching, who want to be able to trigger their streams on one or maybe even multiple Pearl devices simultaneously.
Yep.
We actually have this configured right now for the Pearl that's producing this webinar. So you see we have all of our layouts here configured onto buttons.
Yep.
We can start and stop our recording here, which I won't do. But like, let's say we wanted to go back to our main camera here. I can just press that. Okay, let's go back to the desk. There we go.
bring that two up of both of us there, or then then we're good to go. So
Yeah. So I can give a little peek behind the curtain of like what the configuration interface looks like. And they have all kinds of different devices. Whether you want to go big or small, a lot of different options here, and they integrate with everything, right? So Pearl is one thing you can integrate, but if you have PTZ cameras or you have other systems, you can build it all into these controllers. And here on the command side, control side, I can pair all my Pearl devices. Maybe just hide me for a second there, Ryan, so that we can see behind the curtain here.
we didn't set that layout, but
okay.
yeah, so we're
Okay, no
there.
worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see my Pearl 2 is paired here. I just put the IP address for my device, and then when I go into my configurator, I can really set up these buttons to do just about anything I want. And it's actually fairly intuitive to get up and running with this. I set this up last night before the webinar, and I can do things like, okay, download the plugin, and then I can see all the behaviors available to me. So if I want layouts, I can add them. If I want to start and stop streams, if I want to start and stop recordings, I've got all of these controls here right within my Scarhoy interface. So yeah, really the sky's the limit with these devices. What's cool here, and what I think is like, most compelling about this is a hardware control system. So there's no software required to run this. It's sending the commands directly from this device into the Pearl over your network. So this is actually just connected with a single Ethernet cable, which has PoE power. So extremely tidy and clean setup there.
Yep. And maybe that's a nice tie-in. We'll go over to Stream Deck really quick so we can show that, because we have a custom plugin now for Stream Deck. And so this is basically how we're controlling our entire show today, actually. And so you can use change layouts. If you click over here, we can see we have other things. We can call back presets, start and stop recording, put bookmarks in, do one-touch controls, so streaming and recording with one push. And it's all in the plugin now in the Elgato environment rather than through BitFocus. Now, BitFocus is still great. You can do a lot of amazing things there. But for users that really want a quick start up and go, Stream Deck, our plugin is available now, and you can download it and use it. And simplifies things for you.
Yeah, let me just go back to my laptop for a moment. I'll show you here. If you just go on the Elgato Marketplace, well, I can show this. This is how you set up your buttons. You're going to go on click here, this little colorful button that's going to bring you to the Elgato Marketplace, and then you just type in Epiphan Pearl, and you'll find the plugin. It's going to download right into your software, and from there, you're going to be able to see Epiphan Pearl here on the right, and all the different commands that you can initiate with your Stream Deck. You can even do things like, you see we have our audio meters here. We've also paired this with like our camera presets. So we've got our shout out to PTZ Optics for providing this great desk camera we have behind us. But we have all of our presets for our camera programmed. We have our graphics, you name it. Like, there's so much you can do with the Stream Deck. And with the Epiphan Stream Deck plugin, it's just easier than ever. And we're controlling one Pearl here, but if you had multiple Pearls, maybe you're recording a conference or doing some breakout rooms, you could map multiple Pearls into your Stream Deck. You've seen those Stream Decks that have like a huge amount of buttons as well. Like we've got the 12 button here, but there's all different scales of Stream Deck here, and we see these a lot in live events, maybe in small studios, anywhere where a user wants to be able to intuitively control their pearls, it's
Yep.
going to be a great solution.
And adding multiple Pearl devices into the Stream Deck is really easy. If you want to go back to the Stream Deck there just for a moment there,
Yeah,
Dan.
sure. Where are we here? There we go.
There we go. And then actually, can you go to your screen for a second? Like your laptop?
Oh yeah, sure. You want to show the laptop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And then I'll take the mouse for a second.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So when if we're gonna add, let's say we're gonna add a new button here or whatnot, we can press over here and we can let's say we're gonna add this chapter button here. You'll see a configure Pearl, and then here we can actually add multiple pearls. And then what you can do is when you bring in a button or anything like that, you simply just choose which device you want to look at. And so you could have that massive Stream Deck, control panel, and then you could have 20 devices on it if you really wanted to. And you could be controlling them, monitoring all from one place.
Yeah, monitoring is a nice thing that you mentioned there as well, is like these buttons are reactive, right? So if a recording is triggered, the button turns red, right? Like we see here on our program button here at the desk. So, we do see scenarios where maybe someone wants to be able to see what's happening with their pearls, not even to have to necessarily trigger your recordings here, but just to get that monitoring
Hovering
confidence
over
here.
that button there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not going to stop it, don't worry. But yeah, we love Stream Deck, and excited to see what you guys think of this new plugin and how you'll use it.
Yeah.
And what else do we have? Ryan did mention BitFocus, so let me just switch back to my laptop here. So BitFocus Companion, this is another way that you can control your pearls. So if you just download BitFocus Companion app, you can launch this user interface, and this is another control system that you can use with your Stream Deck. And this goes even deeper, right?
Way deeper.
This is where, in cases that folks even want to do like scheduled triggers and multi-action things.
Yep.
You just go here, you type in Pearl, and you're going to see your Epiphan Pearl plugin for Companion app. You're going to add that, and then when you select your buttons, you can map your entire Stream Deck using Companion app as well.
Yep.
Very popular in scenarios where people want to go deeper, they want more control, and maybe they have many different AV devices in their integration, and they want to be able to do it all through a single interface. So
yeah, I think the module, the plugin we have on the Stream Deck Elgato Marketplace is going to be really good for a lot of people, most people out there. But if you do need maybe a little bit more, maybe those scheduling things like that, you really need to do on-prem, then BitFocus could definitely be something that you could look at.
okay, awesome. We got through control.
Let's do Q&A.
Okay, let's dip into the Q&A. I want to close our poll also. So we had the poll, which Pearl best suits your most common use case? I'm closing that now. I'm going to open another poll. Which control system is most applicable to your projects? Let us know in chat. We'd be curious to know. For the pearls, it's a pretty even spread, honestly. Like, not surprising. That's why we have this range of devices, is that there's so many scenarios where you need just the right fit for your encoder, for what suits you. So not surprised to see that we have a very even spread across here. And in many cases, folks using a combination of pearls as well.
Yep. Yep.
I'm going to go back to Q&A, and let's fire through some Q&A questions. So, Yami, can you highlight Epiphan Edge a little bit more? Yes, I promise we will, and we will get to that a little later in the webinar. Bjark Rabeck, where can I get temperature and CPU load from minis through an API call?
Yeah, so let me just, let me see if I can find it here.
I'll go to Ryan's laptop. We're jumping ahead a little bit because this is our new Swagger REST API interface, which we'll touch on a little bit later.
Yep.
But there is an API call for temperature.
Yep, so you can see it here. So this is a little bit different. For Pearl 2, there's different ways of getting it. There's a hardware mon one, but you can do system status, and you're going to get some really good information about the system here. And this is the new developer REST API. And so you can see there is a lot of stuff here, and you can interact with every little bit of it, and you can test things out, and you can essentially just drag and drop, copy and paste the commands in. We can press try it out, and then we can go execute, and then it'll say, okay, well, here's the command. There you go. This is the API call. Now this is the payload, and things like that, and this, you use the get command, and then we can see the status that and the response, that it gives back to you. And then you could take this and you could parse it any way you'd like, and then display that on any control system you'd like using this data.
That's super cool. We're going to get into this a little more now, so I want to keep moving here, but thanks for the question, Bjark. That was a good question.
I'm Mexican.
Peter, is Snapshot included in the API jet, or do I still have to use RS-232?
Oh shoot, I think it might be in the older API. I'll have to double check on that. So maybe someone in the chat can answer that.
And yeah, so maybe Yusuf or Adam, if you can take. Oh, I do see some replies here. Yusufa said, for now, you still have to use RS-232 until it's added to REST API.
Okay.
So we'll follow up with you on that, Peter. And if you do have any more in-depth questions about specific things like that, you can always contact us by email, info@epifan.com.
Yep.
Okay, let's go back here. Stefan, why is the real feedback on the Perl 2 so slow when I use it with the Crestron plugin?
Oh, you might mean the actual feedback that you see in the system. You could tell it, there's probably controls within the Crestron, you could tell it to refresh more often. That's the same with like QSys and the Stream Deck, everything like that. What's displayed on the control system is going to be how often you actually tell the Perl to pull that image again, that snapshot, whatever it is, like a JPEG that you get from a channel. So that's why that might be slow. Now we do recommend that you wouldn't pull like, every 500 milliseconds, something like that. You probably want to stretch it out maybe like a second or two or something like that. But yeah, it's likely just a polling interval, which would be my guess, if I'm actually understanding your correction correctly.
Yeah, maybe that can help a little bit, Stefan. Just to touch on what you just mentioned, I had an issue where my Perl 2 CPU was running really high, and I couldn't figure it out. And I realized it's because I was using Companion App, and with my Companion App, I was polling the Perl I think multiple times per second.
Well,
right?
probably that would be okay, but if you're doing multiple things, multiple times a second,
it just
across the entire system,
right?
Every input, every stream, every status, then those things can add up. It's still the system has to say, oh yeah, I'm doing this thing. So those things can add up, but you can generally do a lot at one time. But you just need to be careful on your polling intervals.
Great, thanks for that, Ryan. Okay, I see a question here from Bjorg. Next Gen Perl 2, is it in your pipeline? Well, I can tell you this, Bjorg, is we have multiple hardware devices in our development phase right now. So stay tuned. We do announce a lot of these things around our trade shows. If you come visit us at our trade shows, we can tell you more about what we're working on, but Perl is not going away. We are going to continue developing these devices, and we see these as evolution of a platform, really. And we're going to keep making them. So expect more in the future, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. Stefan, why we covered that. Kevin is asking, is this recorded? Yes, we are recording this. It will be on our YouTube channel, and you can also rewatch it right here on the Wistia link that was in your registration. Bob is asking, when will source audio be included in the switcher mode in the Nexus?
Oh, I think you mean in the web UI for switcher. That is definitely a request that we've had, and I don't have any timeline on that right now, but I do believe that would be useful to have for sure.
Yeah, I think we know that we want to add audio into our switcher. We don't have it right now, but that's something that there are workarounds. One workaround is using an SRT stream out. So you could have like a program feed going to your VLC or another application that can receive SRT. So for myself, when I'm producing a switched event remotely, I just send myself an SRT stream into a VLC player. And then I get like a super low latency program feed so I can hear what's happening in my channel.
Yeah.
But good note, Bob, and stay tuned is all I can say there. Vadim was just saying, yes, it was dust filters.
Okay.
So good question. I'm sure you could probably hack together something on your own if you wanted to solve that problem.
Don't open it.
No, don't open it. Don't open it. This is from Derwin. How many streams can you push out at the same time on a Perl 2? And do the stream protocols need to be the same?
Nope. You can do SRT, RTMP, HLS. You could do some multicast streams at the same time, unicast, RTSP, whatever you'd like to do. Generally, we recommend, if we're going up from, let's just cover the whole product line, Nano is usually within at 6 to 10, Perl Mini, Perl Nexus, 10 to 20 maybe, and then Perl 2, we've seen people do 50 plus. So we're talking about streaming out from the device. it's usually more of a network question than it is a hardware question, especially when we're looking at Pearl 2.
Yeah, it's more, do you have the bandwidth for all
Yes.
the streaming?
Yep.
The devices themselves are very capable of multi-streaming multiple protocols at the same time, multiple channels at the same time. So if something like a Pearl 2, you could be streaming 6 different things to 6 different places
Yep.
using 6 different protocols or more.
Yep.
Right? So really, I think bandwidth is going to be your limiting factor before you're going to hit a roadblock with the device.
Yeah, there's a 1 gig NIC in all the devices. It's very rare that we see people actually hit or get close to the threshold of that, but yeah, there's network first usually.
Marcus, is there a chance to get keying on the Pearl Mini?
Probably not.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Keying does require quite a bit of, requires a more robust chip than what is in. The Pearl Mini is designed to be more of an efficient product, whereas Pearl 2 is designed to be that big, robust chip to be able to do all those added features. So if you want keying today, Pearl 2 is the way to do that.
Yep.
Question from Jeff. Can I use a control system like QSys to start a regular daily Microsoft Teams meeting without logging into Microsoft Teams separately?
That's outside of us, but you could reach out to Crestron and maybe they have some kind of.
Oh, you're
Teams
saying
integration.
QSys.
Oh, sorry, QSys. I don't know, but they're probably going to have some Teams integration.
I've got to think that QSys,
Yeah.
if they don't have it, they'd be working on it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I know QSys has a lot, just a ton of integration capability. So it's a good question, Jeff. And if you need help reaching out to QSys, let us know. But I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. It seems like something that should be possible with QSys.
QSys has a ton of plugins, a ton of modules. So yeah, I would just check with them.
Question from Jeremy. Will Epiphan Pearl devices eventually connect with Echo 360 for CMS?
Feature request.
That's a
Just
good
ask for it.
question, Jeremy. I haven't heard of that being possible yet. I don't know if it will ever be possible, but if that's something that you want, let us know. And if we have enough folks letting us know, that's typically how we plan our roadmap. So
Yep.
one thing I can say is that with all of these devices, once we release them, that's just the beginning of the platform.
Yep.
We have usually about 3 to 4 major firmware releases a year. In those firmware releases, we're always adding new integrations. So we were just talking about chroma keying on a Pearl 2. That was added as a firmware update.
Yep.
The Pearl, some of these control plugins, those are added. We continue to add new capabilities to these devices, and we do that based on user request and what applications people are trying to use Pearl to streamline. So thanks for that question. Okay. We got through all the questions. Some really great questions there.
Really good ones, yep.
Really appreciate it. I'm gonna run our next poll. Which control system? Actually, I'll close that one. Which control system is most applicable to your projects? Let's find out what people said.
Cool. And let's move on to CMS.
Okay. 3 seconds till we get the poll results here. And we can see that very obviously that Crestron is the most applicable with over 50% of the votes. We also have decent numbers for Extron and QSys. Nothing much for Aurora and
Stream
Scarhoy.
Deck's
Those are
pretty
more
high.
edge cases.
That's-
Stream Deck, yeah.
Yeah.
About 20% for Stream Deck. And then we also see we had some others in the comments as well. So great information there. Obviously Crestron is a juggernaut, right? So we have been integrated with Crestron for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to make that the most robust integration that we can. Glad that you guys are using whatever control systems you are, because that's really how you streamline and make that user-friendly workflow possible with those. So let's dip into CMS. And I'm going to launch the poll right now while I'm in polls. So the poll question is, which CMS is most applicable to you? And we have a number of CMS options to integrate with your Pearl. So Ryan, where do you want to start talking about CMS?
Well, why don't we go to the QSys for this? Now, I'm going to use the QSys for most of the demonstration of this today. Just because it's just a nice way of looking at it, quite like their module.
My QSys button. Oh, my QSys button is not working right now.
Oh, good.
Do you have the remote?
Yep. So we'll do, I think it's presets 4. Okay, we're doing it manual today then, I guess.
This is
The
minor
joys,
technical
the
issue.
joys of doing things live. There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we have the QSys module here. So we're going to talk more about, the color's a little bit off because our button didn't work there. But we're going to talk about what it looks like on QSys, but then also this could expand out to essentially anywhere else. It's just using a REST API. So if we're looking at the module here, I really wish our layout would have worked a little bit better. I'll just move this over a bit so I can get there.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Can see that.
Okay. So we have this module here. This was actually custom built by us using the QSys designer, and then we just added in pages and things like that to do certain things. So we can create ad hoc events, we can enter a title and things like that. We can specify if it's VOD live, this is for Panopto, and the event length. And then we press create event. It's going to start an event up. In a moment, it's going to switch the screen back over to another screen because the event has been started, just like it did right now. And then we have controls of the system with play, extend, pause, things like that. This is what it looks like on QSys. It could look like anything else on a Crestron if you wanted it to be. The difference is that QSys has a module that has CMS controls built in right now. Crestron right now, they don't have the CMS controls for us built in, but we would love to see that, of course. But if you have a developer, they could use our REST API to do that. And maybe what I'll do is you switch over to my computer.
Sure.
So I'll just kind of go into the REST API here. So if we're going to go quickly back to the desk. And so if we look here, we're looking at start and stop control, pause, things like that. And we'll go back to my computer again. And so these are all under the events controls here. And we've parsed the actual events that are happening, and we got the event ID. But if you want to know the events that are happening on this device, you could click here, and this is also just testing. You can see, okay, which event is running. Press execute, and then you get every bit of information about that event that's running. You get its event ID. And then what you could do is that you could take this ID, and then you could use it to control stuff about that event. So if it's running, you could stop it, pause it, resume it, extend it, things like that. So me pressing the stop here is going to stop the event, and that would be the same as me sending this command here. Sending the stop command actual event here. So press execute. It's probably going to error me because I don't have the event ID. But if you were to send this command, then you could stop the event ID, would replace the X's, of course. Then you could control. So everything you see on the QSys can just be done elsewhere. And then with this UI, it gives you a really good visual point of everything you can do with us. It gives you the API commands. You just copy and paste it in. It saves you a lot of time. You won't need to go to a manual and a PDF and dig through it and use Control F and try to find that stuff. You have it all here, and then you can play it at the same time. So I think it's gonna be really great for developers, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on with events? Like you mentioned a couple different types of events. Ad hoc events, VOD.
Yep.
In relation to CMS, what does that mean?
Yeah. So when we're talking about CMS platforms, and if we're looking at Panopto, Kaltura, OpenCast, VOD is always video on demand. So that would be recordings. Those recordings get uploaded afterwards to the platform. Live events would be streamed, but we can stream and record at the same time to Kaltura, Panopto, as well as Yuja. We can do that. OpenCast just supports VOD right now, but I think we're working on adding a streamed integration too. And so it's just different ways your events can happen. When we're looking at ad hoc events, there's different ways of actually doing the ad hoc events. Let's see if our other presets work here.
I don't know. I think we might have lost our camera presets. Let me try. You want to go to the Pearl Mini?
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
we
we
have
lost it.
Here,
That's okay.
it's okay. I can.
We have hands.
I can do it the old-fashioned way here.
We'll go desk.
Thanks, Ryan.
No problem.
Scroll down here a bit. We're a bit zoomed in, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we're looking at a Panopto, this is the event coming up right now, we can set it up so it's to a default folder. So if we go to my screen here, this is the mini we were just looking at. This mini set up to be a default folder event. I could do user selectable folder, meaning that if a user comes up to the Pearl Mini, they can enter in their username and password, and they can log into their SSO. Now the cool thing here too, at least on the Q-SYS right now, and you could program this on other devices as well, using a user token that you get from Panopto and a username and password, is you can actually grab the folders that are available for a person that is part of an organization. So let's say, Epiphan organization here, we see we have our service URL up here. Anyone who's a part of this, and we were to use a certain token and client ID, they could put in their name or their username and their password, and they could see their folders if we had user selectable folder enabled. And that could, we have that on a Pearl Mini touchscreen, but now you can do that with our REST API as well, which is really great. But user selectable folder, if we go back to
Can you just zoom in a little bit in your browser there? It's
of
a little
course.
small.
Yeah.
So this is like the CMS page of the Epiphan Pearl admin, right? So
Yep.
this is where you quite literally pair your CMS platform to your device.
Yep, exactly. And then there's different options for each one of these CMS platforms here too. We have certain things for Panopto. We can do event schedule, event opt-in. So let's say that you don't want to record when someone's not in the room. You can have by API or like a Delcom button. You could have someone that needs to press a button or something like that to start the event. It won't start without that. And we also just added a feature for enabling embedded audio in all channel recordings. Panopto only is compatible with a single audio source inside the primary channel. Now we can have them all in secondary, so your VOD on the actual system, the Pearl system, has a backup audio if you wanted to do it like that. If we swap between the different platforms, so let's go Kaltura here. So I'm already integrated here. There's
Just zoom in a little bit more there,
of
Ryan.
course. And we see we have different settings. So when you link up to Kaltura, you're going to grab your partner ID or administer secrets, or you can actually do a token ID as well. You can grab that via a Python script. You select the channels you want to do. If you want to do backup streaming, Kaltura is only one stream, and you can specify ad hoc events as well. So just different ways of doing it for different platforms. Again, we're compatible with OpenCast as well. And you could literally just call these back with presets and switch between. So let's say your infrastructure is based off of some CMS, and then sometime later maybe move to another CMS. As long as it's one of the ones we're compatible with, you just switch a setting in Pearl, and then you're good to go. We're not just oh yeah, we only do this thing. We're essentially kind of agnostic between 4 different CMS platforms, which adds a lot of value.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's take a look back on chat and Q&A here. First of all, I'm going to close the last poll. Let me just find polls here. I'm going to close the CMS poll. We had about 61 votes there. Let's see what the results are, and then we'll get into some more Q&A in just a moment. Okay. So, pretty even spread here. We got quite a few for Panopto and Kaltura, a little bit for OpenCast and Yuja. Looks like quite a few people aren't necessarily using CMS, but what would you say to someone who isn't deploying a CMS? Why would someone want to deploy a content management system if they haven't already? What scenarios are going to be the most useful?
Well, usually when you pair with a content management system when you want to add some automation to your workflow. So you want to schedule your events ahead of time, and you want some platform managing all of your video and your streams and things like that. You pair the CMS, it follows a schedule, or you do ad hoc events. It gets uploaded or streamed to this destination, and then all of your users or people who actually want to be seeing your content go into that platform, usually with logins and things like that. So that's why you see it a lot more with education schools, because then it's a lot more control over their content, and there's other things built in there like indexing and interaction and stuff like that. So,
yeah, transcriptions,
yeah.
searchable video.
Yep.
I mean, just imagine on a university campus with dozens or hundreds of classrooms recording video concurrently, managing the volume of video that's coming out of those, and serving them to the correct audience in the correct time is. That's where a CMS is super useful. Mm-hmm. We see, for example, CMSs that are integrated with the LMS. So when a student logs on to their Canvas or whatever, they go to class, they get back, the instructor has already made that available to them by the time they get back from class. So, just that instant delivery of content to the audience managing it at scale and creating that seamless video content delivery environment for your institution is really where CMS is going to be applicable. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and launch our next poll now while I'm in polls. What functionality is your highest priority for integration? And while we run that poll, I'm going to pull up some Q&A. Jim is asking, can someone contact me offline to talk about how to record with a Pearl 2?
Sure.
Currently using a capture card, but I want to see if I can eliminate that and do everything through our Pearl 2s.
Support at epifan.com. Just reach out. Go to our chatbot. Actually, if you go to our chatbot now, you probably get a hold of Zach, and you can talk to Zach right now if you wanted to.
Chatbot on our website is
it's AI. So
it is AI, but it's also connected with these guys who are monitoring it. So our support team is there during business hours, and we're always able to answer those questions and help you. So that's the easiest way. The other way to contact support is support@epifan.com by email. Jeff is asking, random question, which camera are you using with the PTZ behind you? This is a PTZ Optics Move 4K, and this is the 30X, I believe. So it's got like a crazy zoom on it. We actually don't need 30X for what we're doing here, but we do love the PTZ Optics cameras.
It just looks so cool. I couldn't help but put it up.
Yeah, you know what? The PTZ Optics is great, so we can't recommend them enough. So if you're looking for, check out PTZ Optics if you're looking for a camera. Do you have REST API available? This is a question from Vadim.
Yep, everything I showed here, so I'll just go back to my computer here. This is all REST API. So this would be, it's going to follow the standards of that. Get, put, post, push, patch, so you can do all those things.
Now this is contained in our new firmware update, right?
Yes.
So this isn't available today, but it will be, this interface is, the API is available.
Yes, exactly.
This searchable, we call it Swagger, this searchable menu system, this is in our next firmware release.
Yes.
So this will be available in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And this lives on the device itself. So you're not accessing a website. This is contained directly in the device. Zoom in a bit to show folks where that is.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because I know some folks are going to want to see that.
I need to go back to start the tunnel again.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, REST API is going to be living directly in your Pearl admin. So you can access it from locally without needing to have any connectivity. You can see all the commands. So this is going to really streamline your workflow when you're developing for Pearl. Go ahead and click that, Ryan, and we'll show where it brings you.
And you can see I'm accessing this through Epifan Edge. So I could be in Australia and I could be looking at my device that's behind us here. So on the other side of the hall, whatever it may be. So yeah.
Let me just see here. I'm having a bit of trouble just seeing the names in the chat. Here we go. Okay, Murhawi. Does Epifan have a guideline or checklist outlining the do's and don'ts for configuring back-end video and audio settings? Okay, so good place to look for that is on our YouTube channel. We have a lot of how-to content. There's a playlist called How To. The other place you could look is on our website. Sure. So if you click support on our website, there's a lot of videos there. We cover things like encoding settings, bit rate, everything you can do in the admin. And if you have a more specific question that you can always reach out to us. Yeah. But we are continually publishing content that's showing how to do different things with Pearl. If you search for Epifan U, you're going to find a lot of those basics settings about how to set up your Pearl. Mark Olson, any plans to add Dante audio to Pearl?
Plans, yes.
Plans.
Not yet, but yes. Yeah.
So for those who aren't familiar, Dante is an audio protocol, a network-based audio protocol.
Multi-channel audio protocol.
Let's just say it's super cool. It's becoming very ubiquitous across the AV industry, and we're very aware that folks want to use Dante, and I would not be surprised to see it in some future devices. We don't have it today, but there are ways that you can get your Dante audio into a Pearl for now.
Converters is what Dan means, yeah.
The more you guys ask, the more we want to provide it for you. So thanks for the question, Mark. Marcus, will there be a chance to get Teams NDI protocol into Pearl Mini?
You're talking about a high bandwidth NDI because Teams ISO, it outputs a full NDI feed. We get NDI HX into Pearl Mini. It is, I would say, unlikely that we would do high bandwidth NDI on a Pearl Mini. It's just really CPU intensive. We can do NDI-HX just fine, up to 2 sources on a Pearl Mini device, Pearl Nexus. So, but not high bandwidth.
So if you want full bandwidth NDI, Pearl 2.
Yep.
Pearl 2 is the answer.
Yep.
If you're doing Teams ISOs, maybe check out Epiphan Connect as well.
Yep.
You can find some more information about that on our website, but Epiphan Connect is a tool that lives in the Epiphan cloud environment where you can extract ISOs from Teams and Zoom meetings and then bring them into your Pearl. And it's using SRT protocol.
Yep.
So very streamlined, efficient way to extract individual participants as ISOs from a video conference meeting.
Absolutely.
Super powerful for remote production, and we see podcasters using it. There's all kinds of ways to do that.
And be the same load as NDI-HX. So it'd be fine to do too.
Tim is asking, can you discuss the new multi-rack recorder feature in Pearl? Multi-track recorder feature in Pearl.
So yes, so you're referring to, let me go back to the other.
Go to your laptop.
Yeah. So we are referring to, let's go like this, back to here. We're referring to this guy right here.
And just zoom in a bit more, Ryan.
Yeah. So multi-track recorders. This has been around for a while. It was named differently, and now it's named to be a lot more understandable. So what this is it allows you to put multiple channels inside a single recording, a multi-track video file. Multi-track video files aren't the most well-used things out in the field. There are use cases for them, and it's great when you want everything to be absolutely synced. So like a Pearl 2, you can put 6 channels inside one file, and then everything will be synced in that file, as well as it's really good for delivery because then you can deliver one file to the end user. Now the end user, or maybe it's you, would have to extract those multi-track video and audio streams within there. But yes, you could use it for that, and that's the main purpose. A lot of folks don't need it. You can use the channel recorders, which are available here, and that's what I suggest for most cases out there. But if you do have a use case where you need all those channels inside one recording file, multi-track video recorder is something you could use for sure.
Awesome. We got to keep flying here because we're already an hour into this,
Yep.
but we still have 145 people here. So, I mean, this is great. We really appreciate the interaction, and we love answering these questions, and we're getting some great questions here.
Yep.
So, Jeremy is asking, working with a Pearl 2 and the QSYS integration, is there a way to change or add text to the file name from the integration? I have the file name structure set up with date and time, but would love the user to be able to add their name to the recording.
Okay, so there is a way to do this. It's not built into the QSYS right now, but you can change, there's an API command for file prefix. And what you can do is you can change that, and then your recording will be named that plus the timestamp. We can't get rid of the timestamp in the recording, but at least you can rename the first
Prefix of the file name.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's API command. There is an API command for that. So you would feasibly be able to build that into your QSYS. It's not in the module, but
Yeah.
I don't see why there's any reason you couldn't do a simple text entry field in a QSYS, right?
We've seen people do that. I don't know if it's on the REST API, at least documented in our UI, but it does exist, so it's something we can give to you. That's not a problem.
Okay, so Jeremy, let's follow up with you on that. If you need help,
Yep.
we can help you with that for sure. Ricardo, will Pearl Mini be able to output NDI? So
Maybe HX some point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It won't be high
Input-
bandwidth NDI, whatever
Yeah.
it is. If anything, it'll be HX.
But the current answer is no. There's no NDI output on a Pearl Mini. We have input, NDI HX. Christopher Harris, could AFU settings be changed via an API command?
So there is AFU. If you go
For
back
those
to-
of you who aren't familiar with AFU is
Thank you.
is automatic file upload. So
Yeah.
one of the main features of Pearl is that after your recording concludes, it will automatically transfer that file to a chosen destination. That could be an FTP server, it could be a cloud location, CIFS,
Yep.
Amazon
SCP,
S3,
whatever. Yeah.
transferring your recordings automatically when they complete. So
There's GET right now. You can get the information. Right now, it's not exposed to be able to set those things. I have to confirm if that is coming. It's requests that we've had though, so that'd be something we can follow up with you as well.
Clifford, will Epiphan have the Pearl devices pass pass VANC. That's closed captioning acronym. VANC. I don't know how to answer that.
It's closed captioning is a feature request we have. 702 and I think 608 by SDI is one that we've had a lot of. It's something we would definitely like to bring, but I can't answer right now if
it's on the radar for sure.
Yeah.
I know we're having a lot of conversations about what captioning protocols are required. So please let us know what you need, because we're trying to, poll the industry what standards are required.
What I can say is we understand accessibility is a big thing, and we're mindful of that.
Okay, we've covered all the questions, so let me just check back on our poll results. We did ask everyone what functionality is your highest priority for integration, and let's find out. I'm curious. So I like this question. Give it 3 seconds and we'll get the results here, folks.
Maybe one thing we could show here, and I'll just stop this event here for a moment, is this is a Delcom button, and we've had a number of folks in the EU who want functionality like this, and so what we can do, I'll just hold it up. What we can do is we can actually start and stop ad hoc events for Panopto, Kaltura, and OpenCast, and pause and resume events that are currently running with Delcom buttons. So if we hold the button for 5 seconds or so, and then we let go, it should start the events on our side here. See it started, and then we have a red light. Maybe can we show?
Yeah, I'll show it here.
Yeah, you can kind of see it here. So now we have event started. If we press the button, then what you'll see is I've set it goes blue. The event is paused. We can press it again. The event unpauses, and if we hold it for another 5 seconds, at least 5 seconds, and once that's done, I let go, and then the event will actually stop and it'll upload. And so we've integrated with that as well. We use you can use Kuando lights as well, but that's not the buttons. There is another button from Delcom that we're compatible with too, but these the standard type ones you might see already. Maybe you have them for Panopto already. You can use these with our devices.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need a recording indicator, right?
Yes, and that's what this is perfect for.
I just want to know when it's recording. Nice big red light. So Quando and Delcom are the two busy lights we support.
Yeah, and there's multiple ways to configure them here. You can see these are different ways you can configure lights that are connected to systems. So lots of ways for you to make it work in how you want it to be in your environment.
And poll results, functionality, what's the highest priority for integration? In the lead with 35% is control, followed by user-friendliness. And I think those kind of go hand in hand in a lot of cases, right? Yep. Like, user-friendly is usually accomplished with a really clean and streamlined control system.
Yep.
We also have a little bit for monitoring production and workflow as well. So thanks for everyone answering that poll. Now, okay, so we've covered control, CMS.
Yes.
We've covered a lot of ground. I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. We do have still quite a few people here, but I want to try to keep this pretty efficient here as we wrap up.
Yep.
We've already covered the REST API quite a bit, Ryan.
Yes.
Can you just once again reiterate how do people access the REST API and when will it be available?
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully the end of March, that'll be the next firmware update. It's going to be a new item that will be within the Perl UI. You'll be able to access it, of course, if it's via Edge, remotely logging in. You'll be able to see that in the Perl UI, and then by clicking that, you'll see the whole developer UI there that you saw. You can interact with it, copy and paste, whatever you need to do. That will be hopefully within a month.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And let's just close this out with our last segment. We did want to talk, well, we covered API, but there was a couple bonus things we wanted to talk about. I know quite a few of you were interested in learning a little bit more about Edge, and particularly Edge scheduling. So,
want me to switch to you?
Yeah, just let me get to our Perl that's running this device, and then maybe I can give a really good example here. Okay. So here we are in Epiphan Edge, and this is actually the Perl 2 that is running this webcast right now, so I'll be very careful not to click stop stream. But if we click into this, you're going to see that you have an option here for events. And right now I'm using the Epiphan Edge Premium, which gives me access to scheduling. And what I can do here is I can just add events right here in Epiphan Edge. So I can create an event title. We'll call this new webinar. And maybe this webinar starts today at 5 p.m. Okay, we can set a duration and all of this, right? Maybe it'll end 15 minutes later. And then I can set up my streaming destinations. So these are my Edge team destinations that are in my Edge account. These are the local destinations on the device. So maybe I want to stream this one to YouTube and Wistia. And then I can choose whether or not I want to record this event as well. And then I just click create. Oh, I already have another event happening at the same time.
That's a good example, because then you won't be able to make a conflict as well. So we monitor those things too. So you can be confident that when you create an event, you're not going to have some weirdness going on there where you've made an overlap.
So here I go. I can see my current event that's happening, this webinar. I can get some status information about that as well, of exactly what's happening. I can also see my upcoming events. So we've got another event scheduled for later today and then tomorrow as well. And then we also even have a calendar view here. So if you want to just set up a calendar for all of your, repeating events, maybe, that you're going to be streaming or recording every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can very easily create it just like you would any other appointment in your calendar.
For sure.
Any other ways that people are using scheduling? Obviously through CMS, right?
Yeah, well, you'll be able to see your CMS schedule here too. So if you were to go to schedule, actually.
Okay.
Actually, go to showcase.
Okay,
first.
I'll go to our other cloud team here.
It's up top.
Oh, whoops. Okay. Epiphan showcase. Okay.
And then click on schedule once you're there.
Okay.
You'll see those are the two devices that we have in the desk.
Okay, which device should we?
Schedule to left-hand side, just beneath the live script.
Oh, just right here?
Yep. And then so now we can see the schedule for every device on this team. So it's not just whatever device you're clicking into. You can have full transparency over your entire fleet in one place. If you go to calendar, then you can see them all in a calendar. You can see all your past events. You see we did lots of tests. And so it's a really great way to see not only your Epiphan Edge events, but every single one of your CMS events as well. You can even start your events early in here too for CMS. So it's just more ways of controlling your fleet and making it easy for you.
Okay, awesome.
Maybe we'll close off with a cool little application, and then we'll.
Okay, yeah, let's maybe a little bit of a bonus here, and then we'll answer the last questions, and then I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here. We've gone a bit long. We covered a lot of ground though, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and run our next poll as well. Get that started right now. And this is just the last poll of the day, and it's just how can we help you the most? Curious on in what areas Epiphan can most assist you. Let us know, and if you want to follow up with us, of course you can.
Yep.
So this is a cool application that we've been testing internally, and let me just get to it here. I'm gonna hide all of this stuff. Okay. Do we want to switch here? Oh,
No, it'll do it all itself.
Okay. Let me just go back to my Stream Deck interface here.
Yeah, there you go.
Bear with me for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There we go. So what this is something that we've had requests for this, especially for podcast users, is auto switching. Now this is an application that one of our engineers made.
Using the API.
Using the API, all REST API. And then what it allows us to do is we can actually look at the audio coming into microphones. We're going to have two separate microphones here. You're not going to hear the audio here. That's just my choice for today. I didn't want to be swapping between microphones during the live show. But you want to turn your microphone on there.
You got it.
You turn it up. You push it up a little bit. There we go.
Got it.
And then if you want to press start in the application, what it's going to do is going to look at the levels on the mics, and it's going to switch between. So I'll start talking here in a moment. It's going to switch to me. But then if Dan starts talking,
this is pretty cool here. So,
but then I can start talking again, and it's going to come back to me. And if none of us talk, it goes back to kind of a regular view. And so this is just another example of things using our API, and then it just allows you to add more flexibility and automation to your environments.
More and more and more. And speaking of more, I want to just quickly show one other.
Please.
Okay, I'm going to go back to our main view. I'll turn off the microphone now. So that kind of application was built with our API. If you want to learn more about that application in particular, reach out to us. Maybe we can share it with you. I also wanted to show just an example of how someone else is leveraging the API. This is Will Hansen, who's a specialist in live events. And what he does is he built an application using the Perl API because he does conference room recording conference rooms and many breakout rooms. And all he did is create a very simple monitoring interface to keep tabs on all of his pearls and help him with deploying them and setting them up when he goes to record a conference. So he created like kind of like a red, yellow, green light to give an indication of the setup status, and then he can see what's happening on every device at the conference. So in this case, it looks like he has maybe about 14 breakout rooms where video is being recorded. He can see whether each device is recording. He can start and stop the records. And he's just really, I'd say, streamlined this basic application to be able to do exactly what he needs when he gets on site and to make it easy for his team to deploy at a conference. And in this case, he's also created a little application that sends SRT streams from one Pearl to another Pearl, which he finds super useful in cases where there's maybe an overflow.
Sure.
If a room is too populated or they want to overflow content from the main stage into the breakout rooms, he's got all of that at his fingertips here. So just thought this was a good example of like what you can do with the Epiphan API and how you can integrate and how you can build that custom workflow to do exactly what you need for your application. So.
Yep. You with our REST API, you get to decide what it looks like to end user, and you can basically build it out in any integration that you might already have. So or build it from the bottom. So it's very, very flexible, very, very useful. I think this is gonna really be a big thing for a lot of people out there who are going to be building these types of stuff.
Okay, awesome. And we just have a few more questions here. Let's answer. We want to get to everybody's
fire
question.
them
We
out.
promised we would get to every question.
Yep.
So let's just fly through these and then we'll wrap it up.
Cool.
Okay, so Gearmac, will there ever be an option to add a specific layout for a scheduled event?
Oh, interesting. So like switch to a layout during set. That's a cool feature. Just reach out to support@epiphan.com and we'll make a feature request for you.
Awesome. Also from Gearmac, will there ever be? No, that's the same question. Whoops. Okay, question here from Keith. What is the expectation for uploading a standard 1-hour lecture to a cloud storage server recorded on a Pearl Nexus? It's going to depend on the bit rate that you're recording, right? That's going to dictate the file size. In many cases, when it's a lecture, you know, typically those are not very high bit rates, right?
No.
People want to use like 3 megabit or maybe 4 megabit, maybe even 2 megabit.
Yep.
So these are not huge files. So, you know, with gigabit Ethernet, you can expect that those will transfer in seconds. You know, we're not talking about minutes, we're talking about seconds.
Yep. And Dan's right. It all comes down to bit rate, how many channels you're recording. That dictates how the size of the the storage on your server and things like that. So.
Question here from Derwin. My company currently uses Vimeo to upload content for an on-demand and also Cvent. Is there a way to schedule the Pearl 2 to upload the recorded content to either service?
We don't have a direct integration with there, but if they're using one of the protocols we support, like SFTP, CIFS, SCP, I don't know what they do support on Vimeo, but if they did, we could, in theory, push files up there, but we don't have a direct integration.
It's a good question. I know we've streamed to Vimeo in the past, and you know their platform is pretty good. So curious. Okay, could users? A question from Robe. Could users easily get an embed link from an ad hoc event?
Get an embed link to an ad hoc event.
So CMS. So they want to. So they
think-
want someone to walk into a room,
Yeah.
start an event, and then just get an embed link sent somewhere so this person can embed that content. That's a good question for
Yeah.
the CMS folks.
For sure.
So I know we have some like Panopto and Kaltura folks on the chat right now. Maybe they can answer it for us. But you know, reach out to your CMS contacts and ask, because I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It should.
There's share links, but I don't know about embed links specifically. That's definitely a question for the CMS platform.
Derwin is asking. No, we already covered that one. Austin, what are some use cases you've seen with Pearl in conjunction with QSys and higher ed? Looking to see what features we can take advantage of utilizing your systems for lecture capture while also taking advantage of QSys control. So Austin, really good question. Stay tuned to Epiphan next week on social media and on our website, because we actually have a new case study that's going to be published next week, where we're touring the University of Rhode Island, and they have deployed, I think they have over 40 rooms with Pearl devices, and they've just recently deployed QSys across their campus. and they've some cool behind the scenes looks. We could probably connect you with those folks if you want to get some more information. But they have really created a really tidy QSYS deployment that syncs perfectly with their pearls. They're doing camera control on their QSYS. They have auto tracking, but they also have their events right there on their QSYS device. And it's a super streamlined workflow. And so check out that case study next week. And then if you want us to connect you with the folks at University of Rhode Island, we could do that as well.
Yeah, and the quick thing here, the plugin the QSYS module, everything here was built off of, that has CMS built within it. Now that will be coming out soon. It's QSYS is doing their Q&A on it right now. But you'll be able to integrate that with Yuja, Panopto, Kaltura, OpenCast, or not Yuja, sorry, because Yuja doesn't have an API. And then you'll be able to drag and drop essentially on the QSYS. And so you'll be able to integrate directly with CMS without you needing to code a single thing, which is pretty amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that QSYS module is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that'll be out soon, for sure.
Question from Tonus, how about NDI HX for output on Perl 2?
We have high bandwidth NDI output on Perl 2. We don't have HX output on Perl 2. I'm not too sure if we would bring it. I would say reach out and I can talk to a product team about it.
Joshua, does Epiphan offer training webinar courses content that are applicable to CTS-RU credits? Short answer, no.
We do training. But
we do have training, but nothing within the CTS Avixa programs. It's a good idea. If you want to learn more, I really would say check out our Epiphan U on our YouTube channel. Yeah. U with a letter U. But also, just follow our content on there's a playlist on YouTube called How To, and then check out if you click on the support page on epiphan.com, you can find a bunch of very detailed videos, for instance, talking about control systems and CMS.
Yeah, CMS specifically, we have a lot of really great videos on there that go through how to set things up and things like that.
Yeah, and then if you need more help, just reach out. We're always happy to jump on a call.
We are.
Okay. We have gone through every question. We still have over 115 people here. It's been awesome hanging out with each of you today. There was more stuff that we wanted to show you, but we haven't gotten to it.
I think we got through a lot of it though. That's good.
For instance, we do have cloud storage now on Epiphan Edge. So you could have your recordings live in the Epiphan cloud and send links for folks to download them.
And share them, things like that.
We don't have time to show you that today. We're gonna have to do another webinar.
Yeah, probably. That'd be okay.
Ryan, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging with us. We look forward to seeing you again. And one of you who are here will be the lucky winner of our giveaway prize. So we'll randomize that drawing. And if you don't hear anything, then you probably haven't won. But we'll email the winner. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again. Oh, quick note. We will be at NAB in April. What is it? April 6th to the 5th to the 9th. We'll be exhibiting at NAB. And then later in April, it's the 16th, we're going to be having another webinar, which is called the Higher Ed Symposium. And we are bringing leaders from a variety of schools to come and talk about AV deployments in higher ed. And those are really interesting sessions usually. So looking forward to that as well. So stay tuned. Follow us on those socials. Email us if you want to reach out, and we'll look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.